So Sidad is here, Sinan was here, Shakila, are you here? Shakila. Absent. Shahyar. Bale. Shuan. Shuan, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Very well. Sherwan. I saw him. She was. Absent. Shima. Are you here? Sayyaf. I saw Sayyaf.
Yes.
Yes. Abdullah, are you here? Aziz. I saw Aziz. Who was that?
I'm here.
Oh, Abdullah, you're here. Good. Aziz, are you here?
Yes, of course.
MashaAllah. Farhad, are you here? Farhad, where are you? Kaifi, are you here? I didn't see Kaifi. Sinobar, what is happening to you? You're constantly going offline and online. So Kaifi was here or not? No. Kosar, are you here? Kosar, no. Govand, are you here?
Yes,
Very well. Muhammad Ahmad. Muhammad Siamand.
Yes.
MashaAllah. Muhammad Amin.
Yeah.
Very well. Muhammad Hassan. Muhammad Hassan. Fortunately absent. Mahbast. Our old friend. Mahbast. Absent. Hediye. Are you here? Hediye. Hauraz.
Yes.
Yes, I saw Hauraz. Okay. Vina, are you here? Vina. No. Yasser, are you here? Yasser Anwar Saleh. Absent. Muhammad Jawad, I just saw him. Muhammad Jawad. Dunya. Dunya, where are you? Absent. Delween. We still have Delween, right? Interesting. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Now,
Sir, also I'm here. Ibrahim Khasro.
Ibrahim Khosro, yeah, the first one on the list here. Very well. So, guys, let us get on with the lecture. Now, we were talking about the summary section of the data file. Let me share it with you. And we reached to a very important point of the data file, which was the summary section. Now, what did we understand about the summary section in the previous lecture? We understood that the keywords that we have here, for example, FOPR, FOPT, FWCT, FPR, and also the well keywords, which start with W. Some of your friends are just getting online. So, we learned that in this summary section we have two set of keywords. The keywords that start with F, which are filled keywords, and the keywords which start with W, which are the well keywords. The filled keywords determine the properties for the entire field, and the well keywords show you the results of the simulation for each individual well. Okay, let me see the chat. Senobar, yes, Senobar, I put in presents for you, don't worry. And Yasser also is here, right? Okay. Let me put in presents for Hadiye and Yasser. Hediye, I also put in presents for you. That is okay. Now, getting back to the lecture. Now, the key point about these keywords is that these keywords determine what you're able to see when it comes to working with Office part of the Eclipse, right? These keywords determine what results you have access to. You can draw the chart for, you can see the table for when you're working with Eclipse Office, right? Now, after we do the simulation for this data file in which the units are converted to metric system, let us go to the Office and see how the summary section of our data file affects what you're seeing in Office. So let us go to the Office. Now I'm opening up Office. So you're seeing Office right now. You want to see the result of the simulation that we've done for example 2 metric. Okay, we click on result. Now when this other page pops up, we go to File, Open, Summary, Load all vectors. Then we go to the folder in which the result of the simulation is stored, and we choose the SM spec file. Okay, when we do that, we see that the summary data is being loaded. Did you see that? Here, guys, please pay careful attention. Under this tab here, you see data, and then you
Can
see
you repeat that? Can you repeat that?
which part, Sinan?
Simulation program.
Simulation program. Your question is not clear. Can you repeat your question?
How
So
to
from
open-
running the office, could you repeat it, please?
Every step from running the office, we have done it multiple
Yeah.
times. Okay, guys, what do? You go first to the simulation launcher, right? You click on Office, you click on Run 32-bit version, you click on Run, then this page pops up. Right? This one. Now, you click on Result. Now here you see something like this. Result Viewer module is this window is gonna pop up. Let me show it to you again. Do you see this? Now, here you go to File, Open, Summary. You click on Load All Vectors. Then you go to the folder in which you have stored the result of your simulation. Let me share that screen with you. The problem is when we are sharing a screen here, we have to change between, when we are working with a software, we have to change between various screens very quickly, and this makes it difficult to share the screen with you. So you go to the folder in which you have stored the result of your simulation, and you choose the file that ends up with smspec or smspec. Okay, when you choose this and open it, you're gonna see this in the result viewer module. Here you see what? You see, please pay attention now, summary. Under the data tab, you see summary, the name of the data file, and under that, you see this. Some keywords that start with F, some keywords that start with W. Right? Now, if you click on each of them, you see a couple of other sub keywords, and these keywords are the keywords that you have included in the data file summary section. Okay, if you don't include, let me share this other screen with you. So guys, here if you don't include FOPR, then in the office, you're not gonna see FOPR here. Do you understand me? If you don't include WGPR, then in the office you're not gonna see well gas production rate, right? The things that you're able to see in the office, depend on the summary section of the data file that you write. This is very important to notice. The things that you can see in the summary section of the Office depend on the keywords that you write in the summary section of your data file. Okay, I hope you all have understood this. This is very important because the things that you see in the Office section determine what you can see as a result of your simulation. You want to report the results of your simulation, right? You want to create charts. You want to send out table of values. How do you do that? Using the Office. And the things that you can see in the Office are controlled by the keywords you include in the summary section of your data file. Yes? Go ahead, questions? Yeah. Now, so for example, if you want to report the average field pressure, you have to make sure that in the summary section of your data file you include FPR. If you don't do that, you're not going to see FPR here. Right? You're not going to see FPR in the Office section and you can't report FPR. Okay? And now, one more point that you have to pay attention to is that here that we have done the unit conversion from the field units to the metric units. The results that you're going to see in the Office section are also reported in the metric units, right? Do you see this here? Field production, field pressure, average field pressure is reported in bars A, which is atmospheric bars. Bar is the unit of pressure in the metric system, right? And you can see that the pressure here now is not reported in the PSI, which is the field unit for pressure. So you are seeing the result of the unit conversion here in the Office section, right? Very good. Now let us go back to the data file that we were working on. Guys, here you see that there are some keywords that end up with a slash. All the vel keywords are terminated with a slash, right? Now, why do we have these slashes here? Why do we have a slash at the end of these W keywords? Because here the software gives us the ability to choose between various vels that we see. If we have more than one vel, which we usually have, we can choose for which vel we want to see the water cut, for example, or for which well we want to see the well oil production rate. You have seen an example of that in the first example that we worked on and in the previous assignments that you had. Let me show you another data file. Let me share this screen with you. if you go to the summary section of the data file for which you were working on when it came to your assignment, here you see that in that data file we had 5 injection wells and 4 production wells, which is 9 wells, right? Now here you see that in the summary section of that data file, after the keyword WLPR, which is the well liquid production rate, we had P, and after that a star, and finishing and ending with a quote sign. What does this mean? This means that I want to see liquid production rate for only the production wells, not for the injection wells. And after WWIR, which is the well water injection rate, you see after that we have an I and a star. What does that mean? That means that I want to see the well water injection rate only for the injection wells, right? And you see that all the here we didn't include, we just included one field keyword, which was FPR. And all the other keywords that we used were W keywords, right? And only for the bottom hole pressure, we decided to see the bottom hole pressure for all the injection wells and production wells. And this also terminated with a slash. Although there is one line of space between them, that doesn't matter. How much you can put in as much space as you want here, right? So these W keywords in the summary section give you the ability to control all the wells individually, gives you access to the information for every single well. But the F keywords don't give you that possibility, and they give you the information for the whole field, right? So this summary section is a very important section of the data file that you have. Now guys, only 3 minutes is left from this meeting. I'm gonna finish this meeting now, and I'm gonna send you another link for our next meeting. So you have to be here at 5 minutes from now, okay? 8 minutes from now. Thank you guys very much. Do you have my audio, guys? So guys, what is going on? Why nobody's here? میدونم، فقط خب سابقه نداشتش که اینقدر تعداد پارتیسیپنت کم باشه. امتحان داریم فردا، چه خبره؟
نمیدونم. نه امتحان نیست، اما اسایمنت چه زیاد داریم خیلی.
عجب. خب خسته نباشید انشالله.
ممنون استاد.
قربان شما.
استاد چند تا درس دیگه میخونی؟
والا دپارتمان به ما گفته بودش که قراره 7 هفته لکچر داشته باشیم، درست؟ تا الان این هفته 4مونه، غیر این باید 3 هفته دیگه داشته باشیم فکر میکنم. فعلا که به ما اینطوری گفتن، حالا ببینیم که خدا چی میخواد.
استاد خیلی زیاده، یعنی همه درسام یعنی همه جمع شده رو هم، اصلا نمیتونیم هیچ کدومو بخونیم.
میدونم والا، حق میدم بهتون، ولی واقعا زندگی دانشجویی همینه. یعنی ما هم سن شما بودیم، میدونم چی میگی. یعنی واقعا میدیدی که مثلا 48 ساعت هم اگر روز بود وقت کم میومد، ولی خب دیگه چه میشه کرد. به هر حال ما هم هر استادی هم یه سیلابسی داره دیگه، باید مطابق سیلابس بره جلو. یه خورده هم شما اذیت میشین، ولی من واقعا سعی کردم که مهمترین نکات رو بهتون بگم و حداقل درس، وگرنه اکلیپس اصلا خودش اقیانوسه. یعنی این لکچرها رو هم زمانش رو محدود کردم که حالا کمتر بهتون فشار بیاد، وقتی بیشتر داشته باشین که خودتون بشینین یاد بگیرین.
استاد
خب
قرار نیست هیچ کدوم از درسام واسمون کم کنن؟
آره نه، فقط میگن که مثلا امتحان و اینا رو آسون تر بگیرین. خلاصه نگران نباشین. واسه اکلیپس پروژه‌ایه، امتحان فاینال هم داریم.
درسای دیگه
هنوز به همون چیزی راجع به مید ترم نگفتن، حقیقت شرایط خاصیه. مثلا واسه امتحانای همین کویز هم حتی خیلی به صحت نتایجش نمیشه اعتماد کرد، چه برسه به مید ترم که دانشگاه در موردش امتحانای رسمی که دانشگاه در موردش ذخیره‌های خاص داره. حالا فعلا ما هم نمیدونیم. میگن به صورت اساینمنت و اینا برگزار بشه، ولی خب واسه بعضی درس‌ها امکانش هست، واسه بعضی درس‌ها امکانش نیست دیگه، خودتون بهتر میدونید.
استاد خب اگه میترم قرار ازمون بگیرن، این همه اساینمنت و کویز و این همه خستگی واقعا لزومی نیست.
همین دیگه، بیشتر تاکید دانشگاه روی اساینمنت و کویزه. شاید اینها بخواد جای مید ترمو بگیره. متوجه هستین هدیه
من
جان؟
اینطور گفتن، اما اینطور که معلومه شاید فکر کنم میخوام میترم بگیرن.
به خود منم نمیدونم، هیچکی نمیدونه حقیقتش. نه اینکه شما و من، واقعا هیچکی الان نمیدونه باید چی کار کرد. ولی خب به هر حال تاکید روی اساینمنت، فعلا به ما گفتن تاکید روی اساینمنت و کویز و این هاست. حالا تا ببینیم خدا چی میخواد دیگه. درست. خب بچه
ممنونم استاد.
خواهش میکنم هدیه جان. الان guys, now we only have 6 participants, and 10 minutes has passed by. Although that is too little to start the lecture, I'm going to do it and I'm going to record it. I'm going to send it to you. Maybe if the other ones who are absent want to see what's going on, they can see the online lecture. Now, let us continue. We were talking about the summary section of the Eclipse data file, right? Now, please pay careful attention to what we said about the various keywords of the summary section and the capabilities of the let me share the screen with you. The capabilities of the keywords that end up with W in the summary section, right? So here you can write I star or P star and terminate it with a slash, or write the exact name of the well, for example I01, if that is the name of the well that you have defined in your model. And using this you can command a specific keyword to give you the result of the simulation for a specific well. That is a very important and applicable capability that Eclipse gives you. Now, let us continue to the next part of the data file in Eclipse, which is the schedule part. Let me share another screen with you. Now here, this schedule section of the data file is one of the most important parts of the data file. Now, what do you enter in this section of the data file is actually the stuff that is related to the production engineering, right? In the previous sections, you have given the rock and fluid properties of the reservoir to the simulator, and you also have defined the geometry of your reservoir. Now here in the schedule section, you're gonna specify the various wells that you have considered for your reservoir, right? Now let us go to the reference manual to see in greater detail what this part is about. So here I'm going to write schedule We've gone through page 264 of the reference manual. Let me share it with you. Now, here it says that the schedule section specifies the operations to be simulated, meaning the production operations and injection operations. Now, and also you include in the schedule section the times at which output reports are required. The times at which output reports are required. If you look at the data file, at the end of the schedule section you see dates. Now this part has a very visible effect in the results that you see in the flow viz section, if you remember. Now let us go back to the reference manual. All the keywords in this section are optional except for those necessary to define the status of the wells and the end keyword, right? So at the end of the schedule section, you have to include this end keyword, otherwise the simulator doesn't understand that the data file has finished, and you're going to see an error when it comes to the simulation of the data file. Now, to define a well and its connection properties and controls, the following keywords should be used, right? Pay attention. Here we see 4 important keywords that we need to define. Well specs. Yes, this keyword introduces the various wells that you have included in your model. Comp dat or completion data. With this keyword, you're going to introduce to the simulator the data related to the completion of various wells. What are those data? For example, the depth of the perforation, the matrix block in which the well starts and the well finishes, the geometrical location of the well, the time at which the well is open and the time at which the well is shut, the bottom hole pressure of the well, and stuff like that. Now, the third set of keywords that you have to include in the schedule section are one of these keywords that you see here. You either have to include wcon prod, which is for the production wells, wcon inje, which is for the injection wells, and a couple of other less common keywords. Okay, so here using wcon prod or wcon inj, you're going to introduce to the simulator the completion data for the production wells and the completion data for the injection wells. And the fourth one also is something here. The fourth one here is necessary for Eclipse 300. But now we're working with Eclipse 100. So this fourth set is not super necessary. Okay? Now, let us go back to the data file. Let me show you this screen. Now, in the schedule section, one keyword that is absolutely necessary is well specs. Here, you're going to introduce to the model all the specifications of all the wells. Okay? Let us search this keyword in the reference manual. Now, at page 266 of the reference manual, you see that for the keyword well specs, it has the following description. Introduces new wells and specifies some of their general data, including the group to which they belong. This keyword is compulsory, right? So if you don't include this keyword, you're going to see an error. A well must be introduced with this keyword before it can be referred to in any other keyword. So if in your model you have some well and you don't introduce it here in this well specs section, then in the following keywords you can't use the name of that well. The simulator is not going to recognize that well. Okay? Now, here in this specific model that we have, we only have one well and it is a production well. So in the well spec section, we only include one production well. We've given it the name WP1. The group, here we have only one group, group G. Now, in the third and fourth fields of this keyword, we have to include the I and J location of this val that we've introduced. So for this val WP1, the location of the block in which it is drilled is 10th block in the I direction and second block in the J direction, right? You remember that this model had 10 blocks in the I direction, 3 blocks in the J direction, and 3 blocks in the Z direction. Now, in the fourth field, you have to specify where is the bottom of the well. And it says that what is the bottom hole pressure of this well. And with this star, we have set it to the default value. We don't know the bottom hole pressure of this well. Okay? And when we don't know a value, in the field that we have, we only include one star. Okay? Now, in the fifth field, we have to specify what is the preferred production phase of this well. And here we've written oil. We could also write water or gas or condensate or stuff like that.
Data file.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to say something. Okay. Now, okay, Sherwan?
Yes, dear.
Thank you. Now, here, the preferred phase, as you see, is oil. It could be water, it could be some other things also. And the rest of the fields here are left undefined. What does that mean for the simulator? It is going to set these values to default, right? Now, let us go. We have seen well specs for this data file. Let us also see the well specs keyword for the data file of your assignment. Okay. Now I'm going to share another screen with you. Now, let's go to the schedule section of the previous data file that you were working on. Here you see well specs, right? And over there you had 5 injection wells and 4 production wells. So all of these injection wells are introduced first, and then here the production wells are introduced. And you see, after each well is introduced, we have to include a slash. And at the end, when all the wells are introduced, we also have to include a slash to terminate the well specs keyword, right? Now, for each well, first we declare a name, then a group, then the I and J location. Okay? Now over there, the bottom depth of each well was also introduced, and it was 3,300 feet. And you see that the preferred phase for these injection wells was water and the preferred phase for the production wells was oil. We were injecting water and we were expecting to recover oil, right? So up to this point you have seen two examples of the application of the well specs keyword, right? Now let us go back to the previous data file that we had. So after well specs, we have to specify the completion data for each well. In this data file that we have, we only have one well, so there's not much to do. For WP1, which is the only well that we have, in the second and third field we need to specify the INJ location of the drilled well, which this is something arbitrary. We know that this is the place at which our well is drilled. Now, in the fourth field, we include the block at which the production part of the well starts and the block at which it finishes, right? So we had 3 blocks in the K direction, and here we understand that the production part of the well starts at the first block and finishes at the second block. Okay, so the depth of the perforation determines these 4th and 5th field of the CompDat keyword. Now, in the 6th field, we have to determine whether or not the well that we have named is shut. Okay, is shut or open. Now, imagine that we don't know what to write over there. What do we have to do? We have to go to reference manual. We go to the reference manual, we search the keyword that we want to work on, and we see what is the meaning of each field. Now, for the 6th field, it says open shot flag of connection. When you write open over there, it means that the connection is open to flow, or in simpler terms, the well is open. When you write shut, it means that the well is shut down, right? Now, instead of shut and open, you can also write 0 and 1. Okay, that is something that is not included here. Or you can write auto, which means that the connection is initially closed but will be opened automatically when another connection in the well is closed during the automatic workover. Okay, that auto, we ignore it for the moment. Now, the 7th field also, you have to include something over there, which is sat nom, which is what? the number of saturation tables for this well. Here we don't have anything, we write 0. Okay? The eighth field, according to the reference manual, is the transmissibility factor for the connection, and the default value for it is 0. Here we don't know what the value is, we include a star. Now the ninth field is very important, please pay careful attention. The ninth field is the field in which you determine the diameter of the well that you have drilled. The diameter of the well that you have drilled. Okay? Now, when we were working with the field units, the diameter of the well that we had was half a foot, and in meters it is 15 centimeters approximately. So the diameter of the field that you have drilled is 15 centimeters. Okay? There are some other fields here that you can work with, and you can see what is the meaning of those fields, but the most important ones are the second field, third field, fourth and fifth field, the sixth field, and the ninth field. Okay? The I and J location of the well, the blocks that are connected to the well, which are determined here, and the diameter of the well, which is determined here. Now, there's another keyword which is wcomprod. Here, what do you do in the first field? You again write the name of the well, then you determine.
Share the data file with
Oh, sorry. Thank you for telling me that.
Which I open it in my computer, but I want to share it with you.
Do you see that? Huh?
Yes.
Very well. Now, in the wcomprod, for more details, you can go to the reference manual, but in the first field, you have to include the name of the well, and you have to do this for every well. In the second field, you have to determine whether or not it is shot. Now, the third field is the control mode field, right? This well, according to this piece of data that we have here, we understand that it is producing with constant rate. Okay? So we have two modes of production. Either we keep the bottom hole pressure constant, or we keep the production rate constant. Now for this well, we have kept the production rate constant, right? And the constant rate at which we are working on is 2000 stock tank barrel per day, or 400 standard cubic meters per day. Okay? Now, the other four fields, we want to set all of them into default. How do we do that? We can write star, 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 and star, or we can, instead of that, instead of these 4 stars, we can write a number 4 and immediately after that a star. Okay, what does this do? 4 and immediately and a star. This means that the value for the next 4 fields is set to default. Okay, now the next field is the minimum bottom hole pressure. Okay, and we see that the minimum bottom hole pressure for this well is defined to be 3350 psi, 3350 psi. And now after the conversion to bars, it is 231 bars. What does that mean? This is very, very important. This means that these controls that we have set, which is the constant oil production rate of 400 standard cubic meters per day, is only valid when the minimum bottom hole pressure of the production well is equal to 231 bars, and when the pressure of the bottom hole pressure for this well drops below 231 bars, then it will no longer be able to produce 400 standard cubic meters of oil per day. Right? Did you understand, Shervan? This is very, very important.
Yes, dear.
This is very, very, very important for the exams and stuff like that. This part is a favorite part. Now, after that, you have this dates keyword, and in that you can include some dates that you like. You can add other dates also. For example, 1st of January of 2006, and this will add 6 months to the length of your simulation. And these dates that you have put in here control the steps that you're going to see in the flow viz. Do you remember when we read the result of our simulation in the flow viz, and we used that exactly, we used that VCR buttons? We could go a step to a step. Those steps are defined and determined here using this dates keyword in the schedule section. Now that I've added this part to the dates, if I do the simulation and go back to the flow viz, I'm gonna see one more step over there, and I can do this as I like. I can add how many steps that I like here. I can add as many steps as I like here. Right? And we know that at the end of the schedule section, we absolutely need to include this end keyword. Otherwise, you're going to see an error and your simulation is not going to be done. Okay? So guys, this is what we need to know about the overall structure of a data file. These keywords are very, very important, especially in the schedule section. These keywords are very, very important. You have to know exactly what each of them do. You have to be able to make changes in them. You have to go to reference manual and read it carefully and understand what each field of these keywords do. Okay, this is going to be important for your projects and your exams. And next week, inshallah, we're going to work on the zoning. What other is the other topic that is very, very applicable and important. So guys, that is it for today. Thank you guys very much. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. The time for this meeting is gonna be over very soon. 1 minute is left, and I'm gonna wait for your questions in the Gmail. Thank you all very much. If you don't have any question, goodbye. Goodbye, dear Shervan.